Lesson 33. Our learning target today is I can subtract mixed numbers. For the first problem, we have 3 1/3 minus 1 2/3. So one way to solve is by related addition. So if we were to have a number line and we were to start at 1 2/3 right here, we would have to count how much do we have to add to 1 2/3 to get up to 3 1/3. So we can look here and we see that we go up 1/3 to get to 2, then we go 1 whole from 2 to 3, and then 1 more third to get to 3 1/3. So we have our 1 whole and 2 thirds over here. So it would be 1 2/3. Our next problem is 5 1/4 minus 2 3/4. So, same as last problem, we're going to start at 2 3/4. So you can see that I put a mark here on our number line, and we have to work our way up to 5 1/4 over here. So we will start by moving 1/4 to get to 3. Then we move 1 2 wholes to get from 3 to 5, and then 1 more fourth to get to 5 1/4. So when we put all of that together, we have 2 2/4, or 2 1/2. Now, we're not going to want to draw a number line every time we're subtracting mixed numbers. It's great to get a visual of what we are doing, but another strategy is just building on what we did yesterday. So yesterday we were subtracting a fraction from a mixed number. The only difference today is that we have two mixed numbers instead of a fraction. So this right here, this number 1, is the only difference from what we did yesterday. So what we can do is just subtract that 1 before we move on. So we can kind of forget about our fraction for a second and just take 3 1/4 minus 1 to get 2 1/4, and then we can just rewrite it as 2 1/4 minus the 3/4 left over. Now we can break down our 3/4 into 1/4 and 2/4 so that we can just cross off the 1/4 from both mixed number and our number bond down here. So now we are left with 2 minus 2/4. So if we were to take 2 minus 2/4, we would be left with 1 2/4, or 1 1/2. Another way to think of things when you're taking the 2 minus 2/4 is that you can think of the 2 as 1 4/4 as well. So then you just have 1 4/4 minus 2/4. For 2b, we have 4 1/5 minus 2 4/5. So once again, we want to start by getting rid of this whole number in our second mixed number. So we're going to take 4 1/5 and subtract that 2 to get 2 1/5, and then we have our 4/5 left over. So we rewrite our number sentence as 2 1/5 minus 4/5. Now we're going to break down that 4/5, and we need to pull out 1/5 so that we can cancel out the 1/5 from our mixed number. So we're going to pull out 1/5, and we'll be left with 3/5. So now we can cross off the 1/5 we pulled out and the 1/5 from our mixed number, and we are left with 2 minus 3/5. And notice that our 2 comes from what's left over of our mixed number, and our 3/5 comes from what's left over from our fraction decomposition. So now we can subtract 2 minus 3/5, so we will be left with 1 2/5. So once again, you can also think of your 2 as 1 5/5, so that you're taking 1 5/5 minus 3/5 to get your 1 2/5. For our next problem, we have 5 3/7 minus 3 6/7. So we're going to start, first of all, by getting rid of that second whole number. So we're going to take 5 3/7 minus 3 to get 2 3/7. Now we can rewrite our number sentence as 2 3/7 minus 6/7. So we need to break down our 6/7 and pull out 3/7 so that these can cancel each other out. And then if we pulled out 3/7, we would be left with 3/7. So now we have 2 minus 3/7. And you can think of 2, if you would like to, as 1 7/7, same thing. So then we have 1 7/7 minus 3/7 to get 1 4/7. The other strategy that we used yesterday was decomposing to take 1 out. That's another strategy you can use here. So if we have 5 3/5 minus 2 4/5, we're going to start the exact same way by subtracting that whole number from our second mixed number. So we take 5 3/5 minus 2 to get 3 3/5. So now we are left with 3 3/5 minus 4/5. So we need to decompose 3 3/5. So we're going to pull out 1 or 5/5. And then we are left with 2 3/5. So now what we can do is we can take our 5/5 and subtract our 4/5. 5 minus 4 equals 1, and our denominator stays the same. So we're left over with 1/5. And if you remember from yesterday, we need to add that 1/5 to our 2 3/5 from before. So we take 2 3/5 plus 1/5 to get 2 4/5. For our next problem, we have 4 3/6 minus 3 5/6. So to start, we're just going to start by subtracting that whole number from our second mixed number. So we're going to take 4 3/6 minus 3. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and then we have our 3/6 left over. So now we can rewrite our number sentence as 1 3/6 minus 5/6. So now we can decompose our mixed number by pulling out 1. So I'm going to pull out 6/6, and then I will be left with, since I took my 1 away, only 3/6 from that mixed number. So now I will subtract the 6/6 minus 5/6. To get 1/6, which I need to add to the remainder of our decomposition before of 3/6. So now I have 3/6 plus 1/6 to get 4/6, which would simplify to 2/3. Our next problem is going to be 8 3/10 minus 2 7/10. You're probably familiar enough by now at what the first step is, just subtracting our whole numbers. So I'm going to do it without writing that step out. So I know 8 minus 2 equals 6. So I would have 6 3/10 minus 7/10. Now I can decompose my 6 3/10 by pulling 1 out. So I'm going to pull out 10/10, and then I will be left with 5 3/10. So now I can take my 10/10 and subtract my 7/10. And that equals 3/10, which I will now add to the remainder of our decomposition from before, the 5 3/10. So I will take 5 3/10 plus 3/10 to get 5 6/10, which would simplify to 5 3/5. Please complete number 4 independently using any method. Pause the video and then push play to check your work. For A, you should have got 2 1/2, B, 2 1/4, C, 4 7/12, and D, 2 1/25.